He was abandoned in the jungle, not by the enemy, but by the very men who once called him brother. No helicopter, no radio, no one came back, only shallow breaths, the rustle of leaves, and a waterlogged notebook recording every day he waited. Jack Miller, United States Marine, Vietnam War veteran, didn't die in the heat of battle. He survived 7 days with a broken leg, no water, no food, and the fragile hope that someone, anyone, would return. But no one did. 50 years later, Jack's best friend, Thomas Reynolds, also a Vietnam vet, found his remains deep in the jungle, and the notebook. The final line, scribbled in red ink, soaked in desperation, read, "Tell Tom I waited." Tom wasn't a young soldier anymore. He was 76 now, carrying the scars of time and the weight of an unfulfilled promise. But he was still clear-headed enough to know one thing: silence is not how a soldier should be remembered. This time, Tom wasn't going back to fight. He was going back to ask, why? Who gave the order to pull out? Who left Jack to die like that? And was he ready to take on an entire system just to make sure Jack's voice was finally heard? Montana, winter morning. Snow fell silently, blanketing the old cabin roof deep in a quiet pine forest. Inside, Thomas Tom Reynolds sat frozen in front of a cold fireplace. A sliver of light from the window spilled across an old wooden table covered in documents. On it sat the decaying notebook Jack had left behind. Tom opened the last page. "Tell Tom I waited." He read it again and again. His hand clenched, his eyes reddened. Then suddenly he slammed the table with his fist. "Why? Why the hell didn't we go back?" The shout echoed off the empty cabin walls, but it carried more than pain. It carried the rage and guilt of a man who had borne it in silence for half a century. Tom booted up his old computer. He typed an email to the MIA office. Subject: Recovered remains, Flytrap Valley Jack Miller. USMC. Coordinates confirmed. Logbook recovered, requesting case to be reopened. Attached, a photo of the makeshift grave, dog tags, the notebook, and a faded picture of Jack in his youth. Days later, the reply came. Just one sentence. Case closed in 1970. No further action required. Tom froze, stared at the screen. Then quietly, he opened a drawer and pulled out a photo of their old squad. Jack and Tom standing side by side, uniforms torn, faces muddy, grinning like boys on a battlefield. "You didn't die from bullets. You died from silence, and I won't stay silent anymore." Flashback. A younger Tom struggled against 2 Marines trying to hold him back. "Let me go. He's still breathing. Jack's alive." But an officer barked, "We're pulling out. That's an order." The chopper lifted off. Jack lay at the base of the ravine, reaching up with a trembling hand. Tom thrashed, cried out, but was thrown aboard and held down. Tom awoke in the middle of the night, cold sweat, blank stare. The fire had died out. The notebook had fallen to the floor. He picked it up with shaking hands. "I'm so sorry." A threat and a decision. Early morning. A nameless envelope slid under the cabin door. Inside, a wrinkled scrap of paper with a single line, "Let sleeping ghosts lie." Tom didn't flinch. He just nodded. "Good. That means I'm on the right track." He picked up the phone and called Jackson, an old friend, now a military attorney. "You remember who gave the pullout order that day?" "Colonel Ray Whitman, Battalion CO. Word is he's in Florida now." "I'm going to see him." Scene. Tom packs up the documents into an old leather satchel and slides it into his military rucksack. He puts on his field jacket, steps out into the falling snow. The camera pulls back behind him. An old soldier walks away from his cabin, not to fight a war, but to restore the honor of a friend who died waiting. Someone knew Jack was alive. Maybe it was Whitman who stopped the chopper from turning back. And today, I'm going to look that man in the eye and ask him, what was one Marine's life worth to his commanding officer? For a Vietnam veteran, some battles only begin after the shooting stops. And this time, Tom's enemy isn't across the battlefield. It's the man who once ordered him to leave his brother behind. Florida, late afternoon. The golden sun casts long shadows on Tom's weathered face as he stands before the iron gates of a quiet neighborhood. In his hands, a file folder containing Jack's tattered notebook and a photo of the temporary grave. A sign reads, "Caller Ray Whitman." Tom presses the buzzer. No answer. He turns to leave when a woman's voice comes through the speaker. "Who is it?" "Tom Reynolds, 3rd Squad, 1st Regiment, 1969. A pause. "Hold on." The gate opens. Ray Whitman, now an elderly man in his 80s, tall and thin, silver-haired, leaning on a cane, stepped out onto the porch. His eyes, wary at first, soon faded into weary resignation. "You came because of Jack," Tom nodded. "I found him, and this." He held out the old notebook, sealed in a moisture-proof bag. Ray didn't take it. "I don't need to read it. I know what I did." Tom entered the living room. The walls were lined with old photographs, young Whitman with fellow officers, maps of past operations, and one photo of Jack buried among the other faces. "Why didn't you send anyone back for him?" "I requested permission to." "And who denied it?" "The command center. They said Black Echo had to proceed. We were part of an experiment." "What kind of experiment? To measure what losses were acceptable?" Tom's fists clenched. His eyes burned. Jack wasn't a number. Ray let out a long, tired breath. "I remember clearly, that day, a sergeant begged me to let him go back, but if I'd allowed it, I'd have violated tactical orders. We were being monitored. One wrong move, I'd be stripped of command, and more men could have died. So you chose your rank, and let Jack die." Ray looked Tom straight in the eye. "I chose to keep an entire squad alive. I believed it was the best decision I had." Tom shouted, "He lived 7 days. Do you know how long that is? Do you have any idea what goes through a soldier's mind in 7 days of hopeless waiting?" Ray replied quietly, "I do. In 1953, during Korea, I was left behind in the woods. I survived 3 days before they found me. So when I denied that rescue, I didn't just abandon a Marine. I betrayed myself." Without another word, Ray stood and walked to a safe. He opened it and pulled out a faded red folder, stamped classified. "I kept a copy of Black Echo Phase 1. Jack's name is in it. So is mine." He handed it to Tom. "It's yours now, but remember, releasing this means the truth will come out, even to those who spent their lives trying to forget it." Tom looked down at the folder, then opened Jack's notebook and read a line aloud. "Not to blame. Just tell someone." His expression softened, but his voice remained steady. "I won't speak to take revenge. I'll speak so he won't be forgotten." Tom left Whitman's house. The Florida sun cast a warm orange hue across his face. He gripped the folder tightly and walked away. That day, I lost my friend. And if I stay silent, I'll lose the reason I'm still alive. A soldier died in the jungle. A friend found him 50 years later. A journal revealed the unthinkable. Jack Miller didn't die instantly. He waited. But if you think the story ends there, you're wrong. Why was the entire report on Jack's death classified for half a century? Who decided not to rescue him? And was it truly a mistake or part of something bigger, something calculated? And as Tom, a Vietnam War veteran, tries to bring that truth into the light, is he doing the right thing, or is he pulling the living back into a wound that never fully healed? This is the part where the questions go beyond war. They ask about silence and the consequences of breaking it. If you think you're ready to hear the rest, keep going with us. Tom returned to the old cabin, snow falling silently outside. On the table lay the weathered Black Echo file, Jack's notebook, and the photo of their old squad. He didn't open them. He just looked, a deep breath. Then he picked up the phone. "Hello, my name's Tom Reynolds. I have a story about an American soldier who was left behind in the jungle, and I need someone brave enough to tell it." Maya Lin, a young journalist in her 30s of Asian descent, known for interviewing veterans from both sides of the war. "I can't promise to protect you, but I promise I'll tell the truth." Tom nodded. "I don't need protection. I just need Jack to be heard." In a small room, they turned on the recorder. Tom read every page of Jack's journal, every word, every line that haunted him for decades. And finally, he looked Maya in the eyes and said, "He didn't die in battle. He died waiting for us." 3 weeks later, an article titled "Jack Miller, the Marine Who Waited 7 Days" was published on a national news website. Over 2 million reads in just 48 hours. Some criticized it. Why reopen old wounds? But most responses were filled with tears and compassion. "I once waited for someone to come home too. Now I understand why they couldn't." The next day, Tom received a hand-delivered envelope. Inside was a photograph of a young soldier and a letter. "Jack held the line so my father could retreat safely. He saved one life and created a family. I'm that man's son." Tom went silent, then broke down in tears. Night. The cabin glowed dimly under an old oil lamp. Tom stood before the photo of his old squad, his hand resting on Jack's name. Voiceover. They thought erasing a soldier's name from the records was enough to make him disappear, but one line scribbled in a jungle shattered an entire wall of silence. But the story wasn't over, because when the first truth came to light, another door opened. An email arrived. Subject Black Echo Phase 2, and inside were 15 names. 15 soldiers marked as KIA during the Vietnam War, but whose bodies were never found. If you believe a soldier deserves more than just remembrance, they deserve the truth. Subscribe to Hope Street, turn on notifications, and share this story with others who need to hear it. And if you were Tom, would you stay silent to protect the living or speak out to free the dead? 1. Stay silent for the sake of stability. 2. Speak out for the sake of justice. 3. I'm not sure, but I want to hear what happens next. Let me know in the comments. I read every single one.